All right, good morning. I'd like to call to order the May meeting of the Binghamton Local Development Corporation. This is a meeting that was rescheduled from last week. You should have in front of you the minutes from the April 27th regular meeting. I'm ready for a motion whenever anyone's.
I've read and reviewed the minutes. I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Mr. Burns. Any comments, observations? All right, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Rachel, go ahead.
Okay, so this is the April Treasurer's Report. I'll start on page 4 with the restricted account. The end of month balance in the restricted account was $790,473.81. And then we'll skip over to page 6 for the UDAG account. The end of month balance in UDAG was $944,966.51. On the next page, page 7, for the UDAG accounts receivable, let's see. Yep, North Depot resumed payments. So they paid January, February, and March. They didn't pay April, so they're still technically a month behind, but they did make a 3-month payment. So still working to bring that back up to current. And did speak to 142 Court Street. They are planning to pay off because they are planning to apply for the facade grant. So good news there. Let's see. There was a little bit of activity, it looks like, in the unrestricted account. We were reimbursed for expenses that we spent. Looks like on the parade, on the veteran, or the Veterans Day parade, the Columbus Day, the Columbus Day parade, a thing that was in the fall. And let's see, we'll skip to the next page. There was no activity in the Triad account. There was no activity in the Veterans Initiatives account, and there was no activity in the grant account. So on the final page, we have not removed North Depot from the delinquent accounts page because they are still 1 month behind. So at the bottom of the page, at the end of the month, the delinquency percentage of all loans not designated as non-performing is 0.52.
Any questions for Rachel? Thank you. All right, moving to new business for this morning. We have 3 resolutions. The first one is 23-11, a resolution of the Binghamton Local Development Corporation to accept the recommendation of the Loan Committee to award 10 commercial facade improvement grants. Sarah, do you want to say anything about this?
So the loan committee looked at a large number of loan or grant applications this month. The things we were trying to weigh are visibility of the property, condition of the property as represented to us by the applicant, as well as kind of the larger total project cost and what our money would leverage in terms of private investment in the community. So just go through from top to bottom. Team World, we deferred their application from April to May and had a conversation with them where they went through more specifically what the project was. Initially, they just represented it as a painting project, but after talking to them more, they have some water issues that cause the side of their building to kind of turn white and splotchy. It's kind of an interesting one because it's located right next to McIntosh Laboratories, which is interestingly a tourist destination specifically for Korean and Southeast Asian tourists who come to the area and go to the factory. Before COVID, I believe they would do tours, but now people mostly just go outside. So it's not a ton of money from us, but just helps leverage their total project cost. Innovation Associates, that is, if we could talk more about this, They will be moving some of their executive offices into 30 Charles Street, the current Save Around building. They signed that lease on May 1st. So this is just to support them in some of the external work that they have to do, signage, re-signing, and some work on the exterior that has to be done. Again, for us, not that much money compared to the total project cost. So supporting them and leveraging over $100,000 in funds. Anthony Brunelli Fine Arts, this is on State Street, right in our new downtown arts district. This is a historic building that needs additional repointing, and this is on the side of the building as well, right?
Yes.
So there's a side of the building that faces a parking lot. When you drive down State Street, it's very prominent. So our funds will help support that and just make additional investments in that project that has been multi-millions of dollars on behalf of the city of Binghamton. Triple Cities Makerspace, that's on State Street as you're driving towards the north side. They've been great partners to us in the business plan competition and represented a really reasonable request. So we were happy to make that grant. Korchinski Enterprises and also the VP Court. These are two adjacent properties at the corner of State and Water. So if you know where downtown Discount Liquors is and where the old World Deli was, it's those two buildings, significant amounts of repointing and masonry work that needs to be done on the Water Street side, which again will tie into those larger city investments that will eventually be made on water as a result of the Water Street garage. But also, as we know from what happened at Burger Mondays a few months ago, these older buildings that need repointing and masonry work, very expensive, but also very critical to the health and safety of our community. Binghamton Club just made a small award to support them in doing repointing and masonry work. Again, historic property. That corridor is getting a lot more use as we're seeing the activation of the corner of Front and Main. Phelps Mansion Museum, very small request. Happy to make that one. I actually don't remember what the details of that was. This is a door,
They need
right?
to do their door.
Yes, they have an old historic set of double doors that need to be redone. And again, just an important community partner. Owen Bly, that's 33 Court Street. That's where Jog 33, the gym is, where the subway used to be. So he's got a mason on board. He's got some bricks that have not necessarily fallen, but have worn away. And so there's a kind of a beautiful decorative feature that needs to be redone, as well as just general repointing of the whole facade and some wood trim work. And he's got a couple different tenants who are looking to go into the subway space, so that will be helpful in attracting new tenants. And then Clinton Wood, this is on Clinton Street, the old T. Mulligan's Bar and Grill. So if you drive by it right now, he's got it kind of all covered with black plywood. So he needs to take that off and redo some work underneath before he can open his next endeavor that's at that location. So that's the basic overview. I'm happy to answer any more specific questions on any of these projects.
Is there a time frame? Do they have to spend money to get money?
Yes, so these are all reimbursable grants, so they have to complete the project before they can be reimbursed. This is all dependent. They all have to go through COD if that's necessary, planning. So one of the things that's nice about participation in this program is we can help people who maybe aren't familiar with that process walk through it, because we're aware that they're doing it. Our funds are involved, and it gives us some more oversight over the projects to ensure that they're done with high quality and on an expedited timeline.
Great.
You said you had a lot of applications. Can you talk a little bit about the other ones and why you didn't fund them?
Yes.
I didn't bring with me the ones that we didn't fund, but there were a few that their projects just weren't allowable under the guidelines that we had set out.
Interior work that folks wanted to do that wasn't eligible for facade. We don't have a lot that we've outright denied. We have a number that we've deferred until future months to because they weren't as competitive or impactful, and we wanted to make sure that the fund was utilized to those projects that were the most high impact. And there are some that have outstanding code compliance issues or other compliance issues that need to be resolved before they're able to be taken through the process. So there have not been a lot that we haven't approved. A lot of these awards are smaller than what they asked for, because we're trying to ensure that the funds are spread around. But that's the biggest thing we've done, is decrease award amounts that are requested, and then a few that have been deferred, and then the ones that have been outright denied just weren't eligible for the program.
There's also a number of them that we just wanted to ask for more information because their packets seem incomplete or their information is incomplete.
And some folks who want to take advantage of the design services that we are going to be providing, that we're working through the RFQ process on right now, that just they're not ready for prime time because they haven't gotten their designs finalized.
Is there any language that ties these funds into like some sort of a clawback if they're utilized to rehab a facade and then there's a short-term sale on it like directly afterwards?
Yeah, I think I'll have to double check what the language is, but I know if you're a leaseholder, it has to be at least a 5-year lease on the property. And I think if you're a property owner, we put a 5-year clawback on sale.
I think that's right, yeah.
But if we haven't, that's something that we can look to add because we have the ability to make adjustments to the program after the fact. It's a good flag, Frank.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Burns. Any further discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. These are great projects, great work for the team, really, really nicely done.
Well, we
So,
appreciate the time of the loan committee. That was a long meeting. So.
very long meeting. Still trying to recover from it. So, the second resolution this morning, 2312, resolution of the Binghamton Local Development Corporation to accept the recommendation of the loan committee to award 607 step-up grants.
This is a program that this board approved many months ago. Rachel's been working through the process. They had staffing changes on their side. So these are our six awards that were eligible for the program. And like I said, Rachel's been working closely with Ebony Hatto, who's now over in that office, to confirm that all of these folks are eligible. I have a list here. Two of these, Beauty is Natural and Vadova La Couverture, both applied for a business plan competition. Vadova actually participated and will be at the award ceremony tomorrow to see what place she received. Kokodama we've worked with pretty extensively, just on a number of things, and Patrick from his chamber position as well has worked with her. So these are good projects. To Pear's point about the facade grants, there were a couple that we declined or are continuing to work with them because what they submitted wasn't eligible under the grant. But this is 30,000, 50,000. So we have 20,000 more to work through. Do we have additional applications that are outstanding that we're still working with?
We have additional people who we know are eligible who have not made applications,
Okay.
so we're doing outreach to see if they want to.
Great. In addition to the, I believe these are all graduates of the 607 accelerator program through the incubator, but anyone is eligible who also participated in the EAP 60-hour training program or who went through any other training program they can show us. The idea was just that you had already gone through some sort of entrepreneurial or business development training, and that this money would then leverage the experience you already had to grow your business further. And these are, again, either reimbursement grants or we'll pay invoices directly, but it's not a blank check that we give out at the beginning.
Any questions? May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you,
Second.
Susan. Thank you, Betsy. Any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Thanks very much again. Great work. This is a great program. This funds a lot of really important stuff for people that are starting out.
Yeah, it's small amounts of money, but it's really impactful when you're at that stage in your business.
The last resolution is a resolution of the Binghamton Local Development Corporation to accept the recommendation of the Strategic Priorities Committee authorizing $250,000 in revolving loan funds to be transferred to the city of Binghamton as CDBG program income.
So when we supported the DRI application last year, one of the things that we talked about was what happens if we don't get the funds. And even though we'll be reapplying for Clinton Street during this cycle, we want to demonstrate to the Clinton Street neighborhood in the first ward that the city of Binghamton is committed to investing in their neighborhood. That was one thing we heard loud and clear during the public listening sessions was you guys have asked us what we want a million times, and there hasn't necessarily been any action on the back end. So given how much time we had the public spend on this project, we want to ensure that we're delivering on our end and continuing to invest in Clinton Street, even as we seek additional grant dollars. So this is $250,000 to support an already designed project the city was working on. We didn't have funds allocated to actually do the construction, but it's a public lot we own. It's adjacent to a number of small businesses that also have residential components over the top of them. It's ostensibly a parking lot, but it's also a public space project. It includes green spaces, trees. It also has stormwater mitigation features in the lot. Right now, nobody even knows that that is a public parking lot. It was being used for private parking for a business across the street that is no longer there. So it's just kind of a dusty, gravelly lot. This is just a way that we can really quickly turn around, use our funds to support Clinton Street, demonstrate that we're investing in the street, create another public space there that could potentially be used for events or block parties, which is one thing that was represented to us during that public process. The other thing this helps us with is we've talked a lot about how the revolving loan fund counts against the city's CDBG allocation as a whole, and our inability to spend that down quickly has an impact on the city of Binghamton's entire allocation. So this will help us in spending a lot of that money down. It'll still keep us above the threshold that $500,000 are required to have in that fund. So it kind of hits a lot of boxes for us and for the city. And the Strategic Priorities Committee, we went through this in depth at our last meeting, talking about why this would make sense for these funds to be used in this way. Any questions?
Okay, I have a motion. Thanks, Frank.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mayor. Any further comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor, the floor is yours.
Sure, I'll keep it brief. Just want to highlight the city's award of $2 million in Restore New York grant funding for the project on Conklin Avenue. This is the old Mount Fresh Dairy, the old Crowley building. So to think about where we were about a year ago in that project, in that building, maybe something going to auction, maybe us having to sue people. Maybe we did sue people, I'm not sure, Brian, but to now having a new owner with a local presence with on their team, people that have a track record with historic rehabilitation. Now we've pitched it to the state, and the state, Empire State Development, has agreed that this project is worthy of funding with a $2 million award, one of the largest in our region. Just to remind everybody, it's about a $10 to $12 million project to create 48 units of market rate housing, as well as flexible commercial space. Construction will take some time. We're looking at an 18-month to 2-year construction. Once they start, they will start soon on environmental remediation on the property. But it's a great project for the South Side. It adds to our shortage of market rate housing. And again, the state sort of agreed with the city that that was a priority project and one that should be invested in. So it was very good news, I guess, about last week.
Right. John Korchinski was in the press conference with you. Is he the owner?
That's correct. He's part of the ownership group. John Korchinski, a fellow named Patrick Van Putty, and then they are working with a firm out of Corning. Is that correct?
Elise Johnson Schmidt, yeah.
Who has experience in historic tax credits, historic renovations, et cetera.
Mayor, did you say it was mixed use with commercial?
It was.
Do you have any ideas yet for the commercial properties or?
Nope.
Okay.
It's just as flexible space is what it's been told to me as of right now.
They've been talking to a number of people, but they don't have an anchor tenant yet.
How big is it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a really great question. I don't remember what the square footage is. The commercial space is not huge though. I know that because it's a weird, they have like below grade and they did get it all cleared. None of it's in the floodplain, which is excellent news. But they have below grade space and they have street level space, and the street level space is where the commercial will be. And it's not a huge space. Anything else there?
That's all I had.
All right. So I was at the New York State Economic Development Conference last week, which is why I was not here on Thursday. So as much as it's a bummer to have to drag you guys in twice, I'm glad to be able to see you for this month's meeting. That was a great conference. It always is. I got to spend some time with some local folks talking about projects we want to work on together, especially as the CFA season is, I was about to say rapidly approaching, but it's already started, which is our consolidated funding application through the state. So we'll be working with the agency and some other local folks on projects we want to put forward to the state for consideration and funding. Also got to talk with my former colleagues at ESD and just get a sense of what the state's thinking in terms of how to fund affordable housing and market rate housing. As we know, the budget process did not yield many results on the housing front, but the state's still committed to figuring out how to fund housing. So it was very clear that that was a priority for everyone at the state level, as well as they're getting a lot of pressure from all the local folks that we just need more help with funding these housing projects. I know the mayor said this a million times, but we have a lot of shovel-ready or near shovel-ready, affordable and mixed income and market rate projects. And our biggest barrier right now is just finding ways to get them funded. So we're getting creative. We're working with private low-income housing tax credit companies that work outside of the state system. We're getting creative with our ARPA dollars and ways that we can leverage our local money to leverage federal and state money. So really we're turning over every rock and trying to figure out where we can get money to support these projects. And I'm optimistic we're moving in the right direction. Everyone seemed very impressed with Binghamton's strategy, and people in general were really excited to hear about what we have going on. I don't know if we've updated this body on the eminent domain proceedings.
No, you want me to take that?
Yeah, that'd be
So essentially, city council voted on eminent domain at the May 19th meeting, 18th meeting, something like that. So that starts a 30-day clock from the time that we noticed that meeting, which was on, I believe, May 22nd, where the current owners can challenge the determination. And if they choose to challenge the determination, it goes, I believe, automatically to the appellate division, New York State courts. And then there will be probably months and months of briefs being filed back and forth. So I anticipate that to happen. But they're basically on the clock. You know, it's like the NFL draft. Binghamton Plaza is on the clock. So also in the interim period, I've reached out to many of the business owners doing personal visits. Had one in my office last week just to talk a little bit more about timeline, that this is probably a multi-year type of process from soup to nuts. Let them know that nothing is happening today, nothing is happening tomorrow, that we're many months down the road, even if the city is successful, and let them know that we're here to help, that we can help them find new locations on the north side of Binghamton, that, you know, the current conditions that they're experiencing, you know, no small business really deserves, and that we're here to help. So that's kind of the latest on Binghamton Plaza.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say is that even though they have the ability to challenge, we've been extremely meticulous in ensuring that there really is nothing to challenge in the findings. If you've ever read those line by line refutations on Search IQS, like I do on my Saturday nights, reading through filings, they're going to throw everything at it, but our lawyers have assured us, and we've been going over everything with a fine tooth comb, that it's going to hold up under scrutiny. It's just going to add additional time that we'll have to work through, but we anticipated that. And to the mayor's point, one thing that became clear to me during this process of talking with some of the council members and other folks was that people don't always know what services we have available at the city of Binghamton. I know we've talked about redoing our website and trying to figure out how to get out in front of the community. We have a couple of community events planned. I believe we're going to be tabling at July Fest and trying to get out at the farmers market to really talk to people about specifically those site selection options we have available. Of course, anyone can go to a real estate agent or work with a private company to find real estate, but Joel is kind of our guru when it comes to all things real estate, knows where everything is, the history of everything. So that's a huge service that we have available for free to anyone in the city of Binghamton or anyone who wants to move to the city of Binghamton for businesses. So something that through this process we'll definitely want to continue to highlight so that people know that that service is available out of our office. We have our business plan competition press conference next week. Well, not next week, tomorrow, where we'll be announcing the winners. That was last week. I was not able to attend because I was out of town, but Rachel and Joel assured me that it went really well. We've been making small tweaks to that program over the last 2 years. And I think the changes we've made have been well received in terms of trying to keep the pool of folks that ultimately end up being reviewed small, trying to keep the judging panel pretty tight so we can keep that event nice and short. We'll also direct people to all of the different services, whether they actually end up coming through our competition or not. It gives us a really nice touch point to talk to people about where they are in the process with their business and what next steps they should take. So I'm sure that there is a lot more, but that's kind of, we've been running at a full speed the past few weeks, and we'll continue to do so throughout the CFA season. we have a meeting today or tomorrow to go through the city's plan for applications. And if any private businesses that you guys know of are interested in applying for specifically the Empire State Development grants, those job creation and capital investment grants, feel free to send them my way and we can talk about what options are available.
Those are due in July, end of July.
Here due end of July, yep.
Great.
Any questions for me?
Never a dull moment.
No, never. Wish there'd be more dull moments, but that's okay.
Anything else for the group this morning? All right, thank you all very much. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Mayor. Second.
Second.
Right.
Yes.
You're adjourned.